My dad shoved a clipboard into my hands while I was still stuck in the ICU, tubes in my arm and pain shooting through my ribs. "Sign it," he said, like I was being dramatic. My sister smiled and added, "It's just so we can handle things for you." I tried to sit up, but my body felt like it was held together with staples and bad luck. The room smelled like disinfectant and warm plastic. The monitor beeped in a steady little rhythm like it was counting down to something. "What is this?" I asked, voice rough. Dad clicked his pen. "Company stuff, routine." I looked at the page, but the words swam. My eyes kept losing focus like my brain was buffering. Still, I caught one word clear as day: shares. My throat went dry. "Why does it say shares?" Lena's smile stayed, but her eyes got colder. "Because you own shares, duh. We're keeping the business safe." "I'm not signing anything," I said, and my voice cracked. Dad's face tightened. "Jenna, don't do this. Investors are calling. People are nervous." "You want your company to fall apart because you're stubborn?" "My company, not his, not hers." I pushed the clipboard away. "Read it out loud." He laughed like I'd asked for a joke. "You're serious?" "Yes," I said. "Read it." He didn't. He just leaned closer, lowering his voice like he was being kind. "You're on heavy meds. You don't understand what you're doing right now." Lena chimed in soft and sweet like she was talking to a toddler. "You always make everything a fight. Just let us help. That's what family does." "Family, right?" I stared at her. Lena had a way of sounding caring while digging the knife. Always had. She used to take my stuff as a kid, then cry to Mom when I got mad. She'd hand me the wrapper and say, "It's not a big deal," while I stood there furious and looking crazy. This felt exactly like that, just grown up. Bigger stakes. Sharper teeth. A nurse stepped in, eyes moving from Dad's pen to my face. "Everything okay in here?" Dad turned on the charm instantly. "We're fine, she just needs to sign a quick form." The nurse looked at me. "Do you want to sign anything right now, ma'am?" "No," I said, clear as I could. Dad's jaw jumped. "She's in pain, she's confused." The nurse didn't flinch. "She seems clear to me." For a second I saw something flash in my dad's face, anger, panic, both. Like a man whose plan just got blocked, he stood fast, chair scraping the floor. "Fine, we'll come back tomorrow." Lena leaned close to my ear as they turned to leave. Her perfume was too strong, like it was trying to cover up something rotten underneath. "You're gonna wish you didn't make this hard," she whispered, still smiling. Then they were gone. The room felt quieter, but my heart didn't slow down. It slammed in my chest like it was trying to escape too. The nurse adjusted my IV, then said something casual that hit me like a brick. "By the way, they were here earlier." I blinked. "Earlier?" "Yeah," she said. "Before you woke up, they asked about your belongings and your paperwork. Your sister was very specific." My fingers went cold. "What paperwork?" The nurse nodded toward the small cabinet by the window. "A folder with your name on it. She said it was urgent." My stomach dropped because I knew what folder that was. When you run a company, you learn fast. People smile at you while they count your money, so I kept a physical folder, old school, boring, safe. Share documents, backup copies, notes, the stuff you don't leave to chance, and I never let anyone touch it, not even family. I pushed myself up, ignoring the pain. My body screamed, but fear was louder. I reached for the cabinet and opened it with shaking hands. Empty, just a cheap plastic cup and a stack of hospital wipes. I sat there for a second, staring into the blank space like it could explain itself. My phone was on the tray table. I grabbed it, thumb clumsy. A new notification sat on the screen, not a message from family, not a get well soon. It was from my CFO, Mark. "Jenna, call me ASAP. Something's moving with your shares." My blood turned to ice. Because that meant it wasn't just talk in a hospital room. They weren't trying to help. They were already doing it. And in that moment, as I stared at that line on the screen, I felt something ugly settle in my chest, calm, dark, and sharp. If my family wanted to play dirty while I was bleeding in a hospital bed, fine. I could play worse. I called Mark so fast my thumb slipped twice. He picked up on the first ring. "Jenna, thank God." "Are you awake?" "I'm awake," I said. My voice was low, tight. "Tell me what's happening." He didn't waste time. "A transfer request hit the system. Your shares, a big block. It came in like you approved it." My stomach twisted. "From who?" "That's the part that made my skin crawl," Mark said. "The request came from an admin login we never use unless it's an emergency. And the paperwork upload, it's a scan. Not your usual signature." I stared at the empty cabinet again. My folder was gone, the papers were gone, the only thing left was the smell of hospital wipes and my own breathing. They took my folder, I said. Mark went quiet for half a second. Okay, then we assume they have enough to fake it, but listen, there's a trail, a digital trail. Like what? Time, device ID, IP address, who clicked what? The system keeps all of it, he said. I locked the transfer at pending review so it can't finalize without a second approval. My chest loosened just a little. Good, but Jenna, Mark lowered his voice. Your sister called me earlier today. My hand tightened around the phone. What did she say? She acted like she runs the place, Mark said. All sweet and calm, told me you wanted her to handle things while you were not able. She said, Jenna gets emotional, you know how she is. Of course she did. Lena always had that move, make you sound unstable so she looks like the hero. I swallowed hard. Did you tell her anything? No, Mark said. I told her I only take direction from you. She didn't like that. I stared at the ceiling, the harsh hospital light buzzing faintly overhead. My ribs hurt every time I breathed, but anger was doing a good job of numbing everything else. Mark, I said, I want the full log, everything, no summaries, no high level. I want the ugly details. I can pull it, he said, but you need to be ready for what you'll see. I am, I said, even though I wasn't. Mark said, also, this isn't random, they've been sniffing around for weeks. I closed my eyes, because that was the part that made it feel nasty, not heat-of-the-moment panic. This was planned. My family didn't start loving me when I got successful, they started wanting access. I remembered dinners where Dad suddenly asked about structure, about ownership, about what happens if something happens to you. I thought he cared. He was shopping for a weakness. My nurse walked in to check my vitals. I lowered my voice. Mark, text me the log file, use the secure link, not email. Already on it, he said. And Jenna, don't confront them yet. I looked at my bandaged hand. I'm not going to, because I wasn't in a screaming mood. I was in a quiet mood, the kind that scares people. A minute later, the link came in. I opened it and scrolled with my good hand. At first, it looked like boring tech stuff. Numbers, times, little entries stacked like dominoes. Then I saw it. Device name, LENASAPAD login, admin access granted action. Share transfer initiated upload, authorization document PDF time, 9:14 a.m. My body went cold, then hot. LENASAPAD, she didn't even try to hide it. I kept scrolling. IP address. Matched the one from my parents' house. The same Wi-Fi network they always used. The same place I stopped visiting because every family dinner turned into an attack disguised as advice. My lips parted, but no sound came out. It wasn't a maybe, it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was my sister in my parents' home, pressing buttons like my life was a game. My phone buzzed, Lena, calling. I stared at her name on the screen like it was a snake. I let it ring, once. Twice, 3 times, then it stopped. A text popped up right after. Lena, you need to stop acting crazy, we're fixing your mess. My heart thumped slow now like it had found a rhythm. I typed back with one hand, I'm resting. Talk tomorrow? I didn't add anything else. No anger, no blame, because the moment she knows I'm onto her, she gets smarter. She starts deleting, lying cleaner. I needed her dumb and confident. Another buzz, Dad this time. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, I didn't play it, not yet. Then a second text from Lena. Lena, if you don't cooperate, you're gonna lose everything. I stared at that line and almost laughed. Lose everything. Like they hadn't already started stealing it. I tapped the nurse call button. When she came in, I asked her for one thing. A charger, I said. A long one and a little privacy. She nodded like she understood more than she was supposed to. When she left, I plugged my phone in, sat back against the pillow, and opened my notes app. I made a short list, what they think they have, what I actually have, what they're terrified of. Then I opened Mark's log again and took screenshots of every line that mattered. Not to run to anyone official, not to cry for help, but because I was about to do something my family never expected from me. I was about to stop being the good daughter, and I was going to make them hurt the way they hurt me, slow, personal, and right where it counts. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Lena, it was Mark. Jenna, they just tried a second transfer, bigger, and the log showed one new detail that made my stomach drop. Action, request to change recovery contact pending. They weren't just taking my shares. They were trying to lock me out of my own company. I stared at that new line change recovery contact and my mouth went dry. That's how people steal a whole life now, not with a gun. With a forgot password, I called Mark right away. Stop it, I said, lock everything down. I'm trying, he said, voice tight, but they're using that admin login like it's their personal toy. I can freeze transfers, but if they change recovery info, they can start rewriting access. My heart hammered. I looked around the ICU room like the walls were listening. How did they even get admin access? Mark sighed. We only gave that login to 2 people, me and your dad, back when you were setting up the company. You said you wanted a family emergency option. Of course I did, back when I still believed family meant safety, I swallowed. So Dad has the keys? Yep, Mark said, and your sister's the one driving. I let out a slow breath. Pain pulled at my ribs, but anger pulled harder. Okay, here's what we do, we don't spook them. Mark paused. You sure? I'm sure, I said. If we scare them, they'll go full rat mode, delete stuff, hide stuff, change tactics. I want them confident, I want them sloppy. Mark hesitated. Jenna, what are you thinking? I stared at the ceiling light, buzzing like a fly trapped in glass. I'm thinking I'm done being nice. I asked him for 3 things, simple, clean. First, lock my main account so any recovery change needs a second approval, I said. Not from Dad, not from anyone with my last name. Done, Mark said. I can route it to me and our IT lead, Priya. Second, I said, pull the full log into one clear timeline. Like a story, times, devices, IP, actions, everything. Already building it, he said. And third, I said, voice steady, I want to know what they're trying to do next, not after. Before, Mark made a small sound like he understood. We can watch the queue, see their next request as it hits. Good, I said. Now listen, if Lena calls you again, you act normal. You say the transfer is in progress and there's a standard verification step. Mark exhaled. You want me to bait her? I want you to let her hang herself, I said. After I hung up, I sat there and thought back to the last month. All the little moments that felt off, but I brushed them away because I wanted to believe in my own family. Dad helping me organize documents. Mom asking, sweet as sugar, so if you ever sold it, how would the money work? Lena suddenly wanting to learn the business, like she cared about anything that didn't benefit her. They weren't proud of me, they were studying me. My phone buzzed again, a text from Mom. Mom, your father is so stressed, please don't fight us. Lena is only trying to help. That line, don't fight us, made my skin crawl. I typed back simple, me, I'm tired, talk tomorrow. Then I turned my phone face down and stared at my hand, the bruises, the tape, the shaky fingers. I felt small for about 2 seconds, then I remembered something that made me sit up. Lena could steal shares, she could try to lock me out, but Lena had one weakness she never fixed. She couldn't stand the idea of losing to me, she needed to win loudly. She needed a moment where she could look down on me and say, see, I told you, so I gave her one. I texted her first. Me, Mark said the transfer stuff is almost done, I don't understand it. Can you come by tomorrow and explain? I hated typing that, it tasted like dirt, but it worked. She replied in under a minute. Lena, finally, yes, Dad and I will come. Stop making everything hard. I stared at her message, feeling that calm, dark thing settle deeper in my chest. Perfect, because now she thought she was winning, and people who think they're winning get careless. A nurse came in with meds. I took them, then waited until she left. Then I called Priya, our IT lead, on Mark's conference line. Priya's voice was sharp, awake, no nonsense. Jenna, I'm so sorry, I saw the log. This is ugly. Can we prove it without maybe? I asked. Priya didn't hesitate. Yes, the device name is the giveaway, the IP match is the hammer, and the action sequence shows intent. They didn't click once by accident. They tried multiple times. Good, I said. Now I want one more thing. Priya went quiet. What? A silent alarm, I said. Not a real alarm, just something that pings you and Mark the second they touch recovery settings again. Priya's tone turned almost grim. We can do that, do it, I said, and don't block them yet, let them think the door is open. Mark didn't speak for a moment, then he said, Jenna, you're playing chess. No, I said softly, I'm playing family. That night I barely slept. Every time my eyes closed, I saw my sister's smile leaning over my ICU bed. I heard her whisper, you're gonna regret making us the bad guys. By morning, my phone had 3 missed calls from Dad and 1 long voicemail. I played it. Dad's voice was sweet at first. Jenna, honey, I'm worried about you. Then it shifted. "You're being selfish," he said. "You're embarrassing us. If you don't cooperate, you're going to force us to make decisions without you." I sat there staring at the wall because he said the quiet part out loud, "without you." He thought he could erase me. My phone buzzed again, this time a ping from Priya. "Alert, recovery contact change request initiated." And under it, "requested new contact, Lena R." My stomach dropped. Because they weren't waiting for tomorrow, they were doing it right now. My phone lit up again, Priya's silent ping like a tap on my shoulder. "Alert, recovery contact change request initiated." I stared at it until my eyes burned. Then I took a slow breath and did the one thing my family never understood about me. I stopped reacting. I started setting a trap. I called Mark back. "Don't block it," I said. Mark went quiet. "Jenna, don't block it," I repeated. "Hold it, make it look like it's going through, but keep it stuck like gum under a shoe." He exhaled hard. "Okay, but why?" "Because if Lena thinks she failed, she'll get careful," I said. "If she thinks she's winning, she'll brag." "And you want her to brag," Priya said, joining the call. "Exactly," I said. My ribs hurt like hell when I sat up, but I still did it. I adjusted my pillow, wiped my face with a rough hospital tissue, and forced my voice to sound weak and sleepy. Not fake dramatic, just worn out. Then I called Lena. She picked up fast, like she'd been waiting by the phone. "Finally," she said. "You okay?" Her voice was sweet, but it had that little smile inside it, like she was already standing on my neck. "I'm not great," I said, letting my words drag. "I'm scared." "Mark said something about recovery contacts and approvals. I don't get it." "Oh my God," she sighed like I was exhausting her. "This is why we're helping you. I just need you to explain it," I said. "Dad too, can you come now? Please?" There was a tiny pause, then she said, "Yeah, we'll come, don't do anything stupid." Like I was the dangerous one. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. The light above me buzzed faint like a trapped insect. Somewhere down the hall, a machine beeped and beeped and beeped, steady as a heartbeat. Mark spoke softly. "You're really doing this?" "Yep," I said, "and I want you on speaker when they arrive." "What for?" Priya asked. "So they can't twist my words later," I said. "So they have to say it clean." An hour later, Dad and Lena walked in like they owned the room. Dad had coffee in his hand like he was on his way to a meeting, not standing over his daughter in the ICU. Lena had her hair done and a fresh coat of lip gloss like she was going somewhere fun afterward. Mom wasn't with them. That mattered. Mom was the soft cover. Dad and Lena were the blade. Dad put on his concerned face. "There she is," he said, too loud, "our tough girl." Lena stepped closer and touched my arm like we were close. Her nails were perfect, her touch was not. "Okay," she said, brisk. "What's the issue?" I held up my phone with my shaky hand. "Mark says my recovery contact was changed." Dad frowned like he was hearing it for the first time. "Changed? By who?" The acting was almost impressive. I tapped my screen and turned it toward them. "It says Lena." Lena blinked once. "What? That's insane." Dad's eyebrows lifted. "Jenna, this is what I mean, you're out of it. You're seeing things." I felt my blood warm with anger, but I kept my voice small. "I'm not seeing things, it's right here." Lena let out a laugh, short and sharp. "Okay, wow. You really think I'm sitting here hacking your stuff from a hospital chair?" Dad leaned in and lowered his voice like a father giving advice. "Sweetheart, you're on pain meds, your brain is scrambled. You're going to ruin your relationship with your sister over a glitch." "A glitch." I looked at them both and nodded slowly. "Maybe you're right." Lena's shoulders relaxed a little, like she liked that. I reached over and tapped the phone screen again, then said softly, "Mark, Priya, can you hear them?" Dad froze. Lena's eyes flicked to my phone like she just noticed it was on a call. Mark's voice came through the speaker, calm and clear. "Hi, Mr. Reed." "Hi, Lena." The room went still. Dad's mouth opened, then closed. "Why is he on the phone?" "Because this isn't a glitch," Priya said, voice flat. "It's a request. Someone made it." Lena's face tightened. "This is so dramatic." Mark didn't rise to it. "Lena, the request came from your iPad." Lena scoffed. "Oh, please, device names can be changed." Priya cut in. "And it came from your parents' home network." Dad's face went red. "Are you accusing my daughter of a crime?" Nobody said the word. Nobody needed to. Lena crossed her arms and looked down at me with cold disgust. "So you called your employees to gang up on me while you're drugged out. Nice?" Dad pointed at my phone like it offended him. "Jenna, you're embarrassing yourself. You're sick. You're not thinking straight." There it was, their favorite move, make me feel crazy, make me feel small, make me doubt my own eyes. I swallowed and whispered, then explain the folder. Dad blinked. What folder? I stared right at Lena. The folder with my shared documents. The nurse said you asked for it. It's gone. Lena didn't even flinch. You probably misplaced it. You're in an ICU, Jenna. I smiled a little. Small, tight, mean, funny, I said, because the nurse watched you take it. Dad's head snapped toward Lena. Lena cut him off fast. I didn't take anything. I moved it for safekeeping. She's paranoid. Safekeeping, I repeated like I was tasting the word. Then Mark's voice came in again, slow and careful. Lena, you also tried to run a second transfer, bigger. 10 minutes ago? Lena's face went pale for half a second. Then she recovered and did something that made my stomach drop. She smiled, not a friendly smile, not a nervous smile, a winner's smile. You're welcome, she said, looking at me like I was dirt. I'm cleaning up your mess. You're not stable enough to run a company right now. Dad swallowed hard. Lena, stop. She didn't stop. She leaned closer to my bed, voice low. You don't get it. You're not built for this. You got lucky. We're taking it back. And Dad, my own dad, didn't correct her. He just stared at the floor like a man praying the truth would stay quiet. That's when I understood the real story. This wasn't panic. This was the plan. I looked at my sister and said very softly, so you admit you did it. Lena shrugged. Prove it. Then she turned to Dad like I wasn't even there. Tell her she needs to sign. Today, Dad finally looked at me and his voice came out cold. If you don't sign, Jenna, he said, we're going to do this the hard way. My heart didn't race, it slowed, because I realized something they still didn't know. I wasn't trapped in this bed with them. They had just walked into my trap and I was about to shut the door. The second they said, we're going to do this the hard way, I stopped feeling scared. I started feeling cold. I looked at Lena and Dad and gave them the weak, tired version of me they wanted. I let my eyes get heavy. I let my voice shake. Okay, I whispered. Okay, I'll sign. I need it explained. Slow, Lena's face lit up like she just won the lottery. Finally, Dad let out a breath like he'd been holding it for days. Good, this is the right choice. I nodded like a good girl. Inside, I was already moving pieces. As soon as they left the room to grab the forms, I called Mark and Priya again. They're coming back, I said. I need one clean thing from you. Mark's voice was steady. Name it. I want a meeting, I said, right when they return. Not later, not tomorrow, right then. Priya didn't hesitate. We can get your board chair on a private call. We can get the investor lead too. Do it, I said, but don't make it look like a trap. Make it look like a normal, calm, the investors call. Mark said, you want them to talk in front of witnesses? Yep, I said. If Lena thinks she's winning, she'll show off. I hung up and stared at the ceiling, listening to the hospital sounds. The soft steps, the far-off voices, the steady beep. I wasn't planning to get justice. I was planning to make them lose sleep. A nurse came in to check my IV. I asked her for one favor. When my family comes back, can you stay in here for a minute? I said, just don't leave right away. She looked at my face and nodded once. Got you. 20 minutes later, Lena and Dad walked in again, moving fast like they were scared time would run out. Lena had a new clipboard. Dad had the pen. Here, Lena said, pushing it toward me. Sign and we're done. I looked at the paper like it was written in another language. Read it, I said softly. Out loud. Dad's eyes narrowed. Jenna, please, I said, and I let my voice crack. I can't see right, I'm trying. Lena rolled her eyes and started reading, loud and confident. This authorizes temporary control, share transfer approval, recovery contact updated. When she said recovery contact, she paused and looked at me smug. That's just so you don't forget your password again like you always do. I almost smiled, because I had never once forgotten my password. Dad leaned in, just do it. We're helping you. Right then, my phone buzzed once. Priya's signal. I tapped speaker. Hey, Mark's voice came through, calm as ice. Jenna, we're on. Lena froze. Dad's head snapped toward my phone. What is this? I kept my voice small. It's the investor call you wanted to calm everyone down. Lena looked like she wanted to grab my phone and throw it across the room, but the nurse was still standing there, watching, and Lena cared way too much about looking nice. Another voice joined, older, firm. Jenna, the board chair said, we're here. Mark said something urgent is happening with your ownership. Lena laughed, fake and sharp. This is ridiculous. The investor lead spoke next, polite but cold. We received a system alert. We want clarity. Dad straightened up and put on his respectable man voice. There's been a misunderstanding. Jenna's health situation has made her confused. The board chair didn't bite. Jenna, are you confused? I stared at my sister, then my father, then I said the simplest truth. No, Lena stepped forward, voice sweet again. Jenna's just stressed, we're taking pressure off her, that's all. Mark cut in. Lena, your iPad initiated the transfer requests, your home network was used, you also requested to change recovery contact to yourself. Lena's smile didn't break, she just shrugged. Yeah, she said like it was nothing. Because she's not stable right now, she can't run a company from an ICU bed. The room went quiet, even Dad looked shocked. She said it out loud. The investor lead spoke slowly. Lena, you do not have authority to do any of this. Lena snapped, I'm family. The board chair's voice hardened. Family does not equal authority. Dad tried to save it. We were only trying to protect. I cut him off, still calm. No, you were trying to take it. Dad's face twitched. Jenna, don't. I looked at Lena. Say it again, say what you told me. That you're taking it back. Lena's eyes flashed, angry now. Fine, yeah, we're taking it back. You don't deserve it. You got lucky. That was it, that one sentence, not a glitch, not confusion, not help, a clean confession. The investor lead said this deal is paused until further notice. Dad went pale. Paused? Lena turned to him fast. What do you mean paused? The board chair said, effective immediately, neither of you will have any access. You will not contact staff, you will not represent this company in any way. Lena's mouth opened. No words came out. Dad's hands started to shake. Jenna, please, I looked at him and said the cruel part softly. You wanted the hard way, I said, so here it is. Lena stepped toward me, voice dropping low. You think this is over? I met her eyes and felt nothing warm inside me at all. No, I said. This is where it starts. By the time the call ended, Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in 1 minute. Lena still tried to stand tall, but her hands were shaking. She kept blinking fast like she could blink the truth away. This is insane, she said. You're doing this to your own family. I gave her a tired little look. You did it first. Dad stepped closer to my bed, voice low. Jenna, please, we can fix this. Just turn it back on. Turn what back on? I asked, playing dumb. You know what? He snapped, then caught himself and softened it fast. The deal, the investors, the access, all of it. Lena jumped in, angry again. You're being petty. You're in a hospital bed and you're still trying to win. I stared at her. You tried to steal my company while I was bleeding. Don't talk to me about petty. The nurse cleared her throat and both of them instantly put their nice faces back on. That's how fake they were. They could switch like a light. Dad placed the pen on my tray like it was a peace offering. We brought the papers, just sign what we asked. Let us handle it. Then you can rest. I didn't even touch the pen. Instead, I said, very calm, bring Mom. Dad blinked. What? Bring Mom, I repeated. Not later now. Lena's eyes narrowed. Why? Because, I said, I'm done being the only one who knows what you really are. Dad shook his head hard. Leave your mother out of this. That line made me almost laugh, like Mom hadn't been in it for years, like she hadn't sat at the table while they tore me down, like she hadn't watched Lena take and called it being strong. I leaned back and sighed like I was too tired to fight. Fine, I said quietly, then we're done here. Dad's face changed, panic, real panic. Okay, he said fast. Okay, I'll call her. Lena hissed, Dad. He ignored her and stepped out into the hall. The moment he left, Lena leaned close to my face. Her smile was thin, mean. You think you're scary now, she whispered. You're not, you're just wounded. I met her eyes and kept my voice soft. And you're still a thief. Her smile slipped for half a second, then came back even colder. Watch what you say. I didn't blink. Or what? She stared at me like she wanted to slap me, but she didn't. She cared too much about looking good. Dad came back 10 minutes later with Mom. Mom walked in holding a little bag like she'd brought snacks. Her eyes were puffy like she'd been crying, but she tried to smile anyway. Sweetheart, she said, oh my God. Look at you. Lena rushed to hug her. Mom, she's being impossible. Dad kissed Mom's forehead like he was the loyal husband of the year. We're trying to help Jenna, she's confused. I watched Mom's face. She wanted to believe them. That's what she always did, believe whatever kept the peace. So I didn't argue, I just lifted my phone and said, Mom, come here, sit. Mom glanced at Dad, then at Lena. Then she walked over to my bed and sat on the edge, careful. I turned the screen toward her. I kept it simple, no big speeches. Look, I said. Mom stared at the log. She read the device name first, LENASIPAD. Her mouth opened a little. What is that? It's Lena's iPad, I said. Lena laughed too loud. That's tech nonsense. I didn't even look at her. I just scrolled down for Mom. Here, I said. This is the time. This is the action. This is the house Wi-Fi. Mom's eyes moved line by line, slow. Her face drained of color. Dad stepped in quick. Honey, you don't understand these things. It's confusing. It could be a mistake, Mom whispered, still reading. No, I said quietly, not a mistake. Mom looked up at Lena. Lena, did you do this? Lena's eyes went wide, fake shocked. Mom, no, she's twisting it. Dad jumped in, voice sharp now. Stop this, you're upsetting your mother. Mom stood up slowly, her hands shook. Answer me, she said to Lena, and her voice cracked. Did you do it? Lena snapped. I was protecting the family. Mom flinched like she'd been slapped by words. Dad tried to grab Mom's arm. Let's go. We'll talk at home. Mom yanked her arm away. No, she looked at him like she'd never really seen him before. You knew. Dad's face tightened. I was trying to keep things stable. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Stable for who? Silence. Lena crossed her arms and rolled her eyes like she was bored. This is so dramatic. She's sick, Mom. She's paranoid. I looked at Mom and said the cruel truth, plain and simple. She did it because she wants what I built, I said, and he helped her because he thinks I don't deserve it. Mom stared at Dad, then Lena, then back at me, and something in her face changed, not sadness, not confusion, something harder. She grabbed her bag, turned toward the door and said, Get in the car, both of you. Dad blinked. What? Mom's voice got steady. Now, Lena scoffed. Mom, relax. Mom spun on her. Now? They followed her out like kids caught stealing. When the door shut, my room felt quiet again, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of quiet right before glass breaks. Mark texted me one short line. They're calling everyone, trying to spin it. I stared at that message and felt that cold calm settle back in. Good, let them spin, let them talk, because the more they talk, the more they show who they are. I slowly reached under my pillow and touched the only thing I still had from that stolen folder, one small copy page I'd kept hidden for emergencies. I smiled just a little. They thought they took my power. They didn't. They just gave me the perfect reason to take something from them that they can't ever replace. And I was ready to do it. The second Mom marched them out, my room felt too quiet, like the air was holding its breath. Mark texted again. They're calling people, trying to spin it. I stared at that line and thought, good, let them talk. People like my dad and Lena can't help it. They love control more than truth. I called Mom. She didn't answer at first. Then she picked up, breathy like she was trying not to be heard. Jenna, she whispered, I'm in the car. I could hear it, turn signal clicking, tires on the road, Lena's voice in the background like a mosquito. Mom, I said softly, did you get the folder back? What folder? Mom asked, and the way she said it told me she was scared. The one Lena took from my room, I said, the one with my company papers. Mom went quiet. Then I heard Lena, sharp and loud in the background. Who are you talking to? Mom's voice got small. She thinks you stole. I moved it, Lena snapped. Because she's not okay right now. Dad's voice came in, low but angry. Lena, shut up, just shut up. And that's when I knew if Dad was telling Lena to shut up, it meant she was saying too much. I kept my voice calm. Mom, put me on speaker. Mom hesitated. Please, I said. Just for a second, a click, then all their voices got louder. Lena didn't even pretend. So now you're spying through Mom? Wow, you're really losing it. Dad cut in fast. Jenna, stop, you're making this worse. I let them talk. I didn't argue, I just waited, because when people feel cornered, they show you who they are. Finally, I said one simple line. If you didn't do anything wrong, bring my folder back. Lena laughed. Why? So you can cry about paper again? Bring it back, I repeated. Tonight. Dad's tone changed. Tonight isn't possible. That word possible hit me. Not no, not we won't, just not possible. Like the folder wasn't in their hands anymore. My stomach tightened. Where is it? Dad snapped. Jenna, enough. Lena jumped in, smug. You don't get to give orders from a hospital bed. Then Mom did something I didn't expect. She said, Lena, give it to me. Silence. Lena's voice came out, fake sweet. Mom, don't start. Mom's voice got stronger. Give it to me. Dad muttered, honey. Mom cut him off. Don't honey me. Not right now, I heard rustling, a bag zipper, something thumping like it hit a seat. Then Lena, annoyed, fine, here, happy. Mom's breathing changed like she just picked up something heavy. Then she whispered almost to herself, oh my God, my chest went cold. Mom, what? Mom didn't answer me, she spoke to Dad instead. You let her take this, she said, voice shaking. You let her do this while your daughter was in the ICU. Dad didn't deny it, he just said, I was trying to keep the family stable. Mom's voice cracked. Stable or rich? That line hung in the air like smoke. Lena snapped, can we not do this right now? Mom said, oh, we're doing it. I closed my eyes for a second, not because I was sad, because I could feel the shift. They were turning on each other, and that was step one. I opened my eyes and kept my voice low. Mom, bring the folder to Mark, not to me, straight to Mark. Dad barked, no. Mom ignored him. I heard her car door open and shut like she'd pulled over. Then Mom said, I'm not going home yet, I'm going to Mark. Lena's voice went high. Are you serious? Dad's voice went tight. Don't be dramatic. Mom said, I've been not dramatic my whole life. Look where it got me? There was more shuffling, more angry breathing, Lena whining, Dad pleading, then Mom spoke again, quieter, like she was talking to me and herself at the same time. Jenna, she said, I'm sorry. I swallowed. Don't apologize yet, I said, just do exactly what you're doing. She hung up. A minute later, Mark called me. Your mom is on her way, he said. And Jenna, I checked something else. My stomach clenched. What? Mark's voice dropped. That first transfer request, it wasn't just about control. I sat up slowly. Then what was it? Mark paused like he hated saying it. It was timed, he said, like they were racing a deadline. Like someone promised money to someone else. I felt that cold, calm return. Who promised? I don't know yet, Mark said, but Jenna, people don't steal like this unless they're desperate. I stared at the ceiling and whispered, Lena's desperate. Mark didn't answer. Then my phone buzzed with a message from Mom. It was a photo, my folder on Mark's desk, but something was wrong because the folder was open and a page was missing, and right on top, sitting like a threat, was a second paper I had never seen before. A paper with my name printed in bold, and the words medical power of attorney right under it. My breath caught, because that meant while I was unconscious, they weren't just trying to steal my company, they were trying to own me. My lungs felt tight when I saw that paper on top of my folder. Medical power of attorney, my name in bold, my dad's name under it, and a signature line that looked almost like mine, almost. Like someone traced it while I was knocked out. I called Mark right away. Tell me the truth, I said. Is that real? No, he said, not unless you signed it, and you didn't. How do you know? I asked. Because you always sign with your middle initial, he said. This one doesn't. That tiny detail hit me like a slap, because it proved two things at once. They forged it, and they didn't know me as well as they thought. Priya jumped on the line. Jenna, there's more, she said. My stomach sank. Say it. The missing page from your folder, Priya said. It's the one that lists emergency contacts and internal passwords you wrote down years ago. If they have it, they can keep trying to sneak in from different angles. I closed my eyes. The room smelled like bleach and plastic. My heart was beating slow and heavy now. Okay, I said. So they tried to own my body and my company. Mark's voice went hard. Yeah. I stared at the ceiling and something in me snapped clean in half, not loud, not messy, just done. A nurse walked in to check my vitals. I waited until she finished, then said, I need a different visitor list. She looked at me carefully. Who do you want in? My mom, I said, and no one else. She nodded, no judgment, just business. When the nurse left, I texted Mom, come alone, don't tell them I need you. Mom replied right away, Mom, I'm coming, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I stared at that message and felt nothing warm about it. Sorry didn't change what happened. Sorry didn't unsteal days of my life. Sorry didn't undo the way they looked at me in the ICU like I was already dead. But Mom was useful right now. An hour later, she walked into my room with her eyes red and her mouth set tight. She looked different, like someone finally woke up. She sat down and grabbed my hand gently. That paper, she whispered. They told me it was for your safety. For their safety, I said. Mom swallowed. Jenna, your dad is in trouble. I blinked. What kind of trouble? Mom hesitated like she hated saying it. Then she pulled out her phone and showed me a photo she'd taken at home. A stack of envelopes, final notice, past due, payment required. One had a big number printed on it, not millions, but big enough to make a grown man desperate. My mouth went dry. He owes that. Mom nodded, eyes filling. I found them weeks ago. He said it was temporary. He said he'd handle it. And Lena knew, I said. Mom looked away. That was her answer. I let out a slow breath. Now Mark's earlier line made sense. They weren't stealing for fun. They were stealing because something was about to crush them, and they decided I would be the cushion. Mom whispered. Lena screamed at him in the kitchen today. She said, "You promised me this would work." I stared at the ceiling again, and a cold little smile tugged at my mouth. So Lena didn't do this alone. She did it because Dad fed her the idea, and Dad did it because he needed money fast. I looked at Mom. "Do you still want to protect him?" Mom's face tightened. "That man tried to sign papers over your body while you were unconscious." There it was. Mom finally said it out loud. "No," she whispered. "I don't want to protect him anymore." I nodded once. "Good." Mom flinched a little. "Jenna, what are you going to do?" I kept my voice calm. "Simple. I'm not going to save them," I said, "and I'm going to make sure they know it was their choice." Mom stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. I didn't look away because this was the part where I stopped being the daughter they could push around. I grabbed my phone and opened Lena's last text thread, her threats, her smug lines, all of it. Then I did something she would never expect from me. I texted her first. "Me, I saw the POA paper. Come alone. If you want me to cooperate, you meet me tonight." She replied almost instantly. "Lena, finally." "Where?" I typed with slow, steady fingers. "Me, hospital, 10 p.m. No dad, no mom, just you." Lena sent back one word. "Lena, deal." Mom grabbed my wrist. "Jenna, don't. She's cruel." I looked at Mom. "I know." Then I leaned closer and whispered, "That's why she's walking into this." Mom's eyes widened. "What are you going to say?" I stared at the door like I could already see Lena's shadow under it. "I'm going to let her think she's about to win," I said, "and then," I swallowed, feeling the weight of it. "Then I'm going to make her destroy Dad," I said, "with her own mouth." Mom's face went pale. "Jenna," I squeezed her hand once. "Not comforting, just steady." "Stay here," I said. "When she comes in, don't make a sound." Mom nodded, scared, and right then my phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number, just one line. "Tell your father the deadline is tomorrow morning." My blood turned to ice because now I knew for sure this wasn't just family drama, this was a clock, and if I played this right, my dad and my sister weren't going to lose money. They were going to lose each other. At 9:58 p.m., the hallway outside my room got quiet in that weird hospital way, soft lights, soft steps like the whole place is trying not to wake the pain. At 10:01, Lena walked in alone. No dad, no mom, just her, dressed like she was going to dinner, not to a hospital room where she'd already tried to steal my life. She shut the door behind her and smiled like she owned the air. "Okay," she said, dropping her voice. "Let's do this. You're finally ready to cooperate." I kept my face tired, weak, easy to win against. "I just want it to stop," I whispered. Lena leaned on the foot of my bed like we were friends. "It stops when you sign, that's it." I glanced at the curtain by the window. Mom was behind it, silent like a shadow. Lena didn't know. "That was the point." I lifted my phone a little. "I got a text," I said softly, "from someone I don't know." Lena's smile twitched. "About what?" I read it out loud, slow. "Tell your father the deadline is tomorrow morning." Her eyes flashed. Just for half a second her mask slipped, then she laughed too hard. "That's probably spam, is it?" I asked, still calm, because Mark said the transfer was timed. "Like you were racing something." Lena's throat moved when she swallowed. "Mark talks too much." I nodded like I agreed. "So what happens tomorrow morning?" Lena stared at me and I watched her try to decide whether to lie or tell the truth. Then she did what Lena always did when she thought she had power. She bragged. "Dad messed up," she said, voice low and angry now. "He borrowed money from someone he shouldn't have. He thought he could flip it fast. He couldn't." My chest stayed cold. "So you decided to use me." Lena rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "Don't act like you wouldn't save your own skin." "I wouldn't steal from family while they're unconscious," I said. She smirked. "Family didn't make you rich, you did, and now you're being selfish with it." There it was, the truth she always hid under fake kindness. I tilted my head. "So Dad promised you something for helping?" Lena's jaw tightened. "He promised me I'd finally get my cut. He said, we fix this once and then you're set." I let a small silence sit between us, then I said the line that broke her. You know Dad's going to blame you, right? Her eyes snapped to mine. What? He already started, I said softly. He called it a Lena problem. He said you went rogue. Lena's face went hot. No, he didn't. He did, I said, because Dad always needs a scapegoat. And you're the closest one. Lena's hands curled into fists. That lying, call him, I said, right now, put him on speaker. Lena hesitated because she knew Dad would pick himself over her the second it got ugly. But her pride couldn't take the idea that I might be right, so she called him. Dad answered fast like he'd been waiting for bad news. Lena, I'm with Jenna, she snapped. Why are you telling people this is my fault? Dad went silent. That silence said everything. Lena's voice shook. Say something. Dad finally spoke low and tight. Not on the phone. Say it, Lena demanded. Did you tell them I did it alone? Dad sighed like he was tired of her. Lena, you were the one clicking buttons. What did you want me to say? I watched Lena's face crumble, not into tears, into rage. You used me, she hissed. You promised me, I promised you we'd handle it, Dad snapped. But you got sloppy, you used your iPad like an idiot. Lena's eyes went wide. So you did know, you did plan it. Dad didn't deny it, he just said, we don't have time for this, the deadline is tomorrow. We need her to sign. Lena turned toward me, breathing hard like she wanted to hit something. He's going to throw me under the bus. I looked at her and kept my voice soft. Yep. Then Mom stepped out from behind the curtain. Lena flinched like she'd seen a ghost. Dad's voice on the phone went thin. Who's there? Mom didn't yell, she didn't cry, she just said, me. Dad's breathing hit the speaker like wind. Honey, Mom cut him off. Don't. Lena backed up, shaking her head. Mom looked at her like she was a stranger. You tried to own your sister while she was unconscious. Lena opened her mouth, but no good excuse came out. Dad tried to sound calm. We were protecting the family. Mom's voice went flat. You were protecting yourself. I watched the three of them, my mother, my father, my sister, standing in the wreck they made. Then I did the cruelest thing I've ever done. I offered Dad hope. I leaned toward the phone and said, Dad, if you come right now, I'll sign. Dad's voice cracked with relief. Thank you. Thank you, and when you get here, I added, you'll confess to Mom, face to face, clean, no lying. Dad hesitated. Jenna, or you get nothing, I said. Silence. Then Dad swallowed hard. Okay, he rushed over like a man chasing oxygen. When he arrived, he didn't look powerful anymore. He looked scared, small, desperate. Mom made him talk. Lena watched like she was watching her own future collapse. Dad admitted the debt, he admitted the plan, he admitted the POA paper. And the whole time, he kept flicking his eyes to me like I was still his backup plan. When he finished, he stepped toward my bed, voice shaking. Now please, sign. Just this once. I stared at him, then I shook my head. Dad froze. What? I'm not signing, I said, simple and calm. I just needed you to say it out loud. His face went blank like his brain couldn't process it. Mom's mouth fell open. Jenna, I'm done, I said. Dad's voice rose, panicked. You can't do this to me. I looked at him and felt nothing. You did it to me first, I said. Lena whispered, almost to herself, holy. Mom turned on Dad like a switch flipped. Get out. Dad took one step closer to me, eyes wild. Jenna, please, I'm your father. I leaned back and said the final truth, quiet and sharp. No, I said, you're just a man who tried to steal from his own daughter in the ICU. Dad's shoulders dropped like something inside him died right there. He left. Lena followed, not because she cared, but because she had nowhere else to go. Mom stayed, shaking, and I didn't comfort her the way I used to. I just held her hand and let the silence punish us both. A week later, I walked out of that hospital with my company still mine and my family finally exposed. And I never answered another call from either of them. They didn't lose my company that night, they lost me.